Hello Cloud Pedagogians, welcome back to the course. In the last session, we were not sure about the selected RDS that fit our needs. Before we move on to decide about the relational database for our student directory application, I want to touch an idea that's important when you're making architecture decisions for your AWS solutions. It's choosing the right database to fit your business requirements rather than forcing your data to fit a certain database choice. There is no one size fits all database for all purposes. You should pick a database that fits your specific use case, and with AWS, you have multiple choices for databases as well. We have covered Amazon RDS and relational databases, and that was the default option for businesses for a long time. But relational databases are not the best choice for all business needs. AWS creates services to support purpose-built databases, meaning that there are many database services that AWS offers and they each were built with a certain use case in the mind, so that the databases are also changed too. Today, with larger applications, you no longer see just one database supporting it. Instead, these applications are being broken into smaller services and each with their own purpose-built database supporting it. This shift removes the idea of one size fits all database and replaces it with a complementary database strategy. You can give each database the appropriate functionality, performance, and scale that the workload requires. Let's think about the student directory application. We had originally decided that we would use relational database for the database. But now, after thinking about it some more, RDS might not be the best fit for our needs. All we are really doing is storing one record in a table for each student. There are no complex relationships that need to be managed, and it's essentially just a lookup table. Relational databases offer all sorts of features that are great for complex schemas and relationships. But those features add overhead that is unnecessarily complex for simple things like a lookup table. On top of that, the RDS option we choose charges per hour of instance runtime. So we will get charged for the running instances regardless of whether we are using it or not. Our student directory application will have much higher usage during the week and no usage on the weekends. So is there any database that AWS offers that better fits our needs? That's where comes Amazon DynamoDB. Amazon DynamoDB is a NoSQL database that is great for storing key value pairs or document data. This service works great at a massive scale and provides milliseconds latency. It also charges based on the uses of the table and the amount of the data that you are reading from the table, not by the hour or by the second. This is a better option for our simple student lookup table. Now, besides the student directory application, there are other use cases that require databases of varying types. What if you are writing an application that needs a full content management system? Neither RDS nor DynamoDB would be the best solution in this case. Luckily, AWS has quite a number of other database offerings. For this use case, you might look into Amazon DocumentDB. It's great for content management, catalogs, or user profiles. Let's think of another use case. What if you had a social network that you wanted to track, like keeping track of those kind of social webs? Figuring out who is connected to who can be difficult to manage in a traditional relational database. In this case, you could use Amazon Neptune, a graph database engineered for social networking and recommended engines, but it's also good for use cases like fraud detection. Next, in the other use case, perhaps you have a supply chain that you have to track with assurances that nothing is lost, or you have a banking system or financial records that requires 100% immutability. In this case, what you really need is an immutable ledger, so perhaps Amazon QLDB or Quantum Ledger database is a better fit for this use case. It's an immutable system of record where any entry can never be removed, and it is great for industries that need to be audited for regulatory and compliance reasons. You don't need to build up a ton of in-house expertise to operate a highly scalable immutable ledger database. you can just use AWS QLDB instead. It can take a lot of experience and expertise to operate database at scale, and that's why it is so beneficial to utilize one of the AWS database offerings. In AWS, you don't need to be an expert on running all of these different types of databases. Instead, you can just use the database service that is best for your use case and focus on your application and providing value to your end users. The key thing to understand is AWS wants to make sure that you are using the best tool for the job. So we could able to fit a database which is DynamoDB for our student directory application. Taking a look at our architecture diagram, we will change it to the DynamoDB to use for our student directory application. As we have mentioned before, the key thing to understand is AWS wants to make sure that you are using the best tool for the job. Coming up next, we will explore Amazon DynamoDB and get a look at more of the details. Until then, take care.